Well, hello, and this is Mary Nurburn welcoming you to Designing Your Unshakable Dream for 2017. Happy New Year, and many of us have experienced that great ball drop kicking in the new year of 2017. It's a new year, and it's a new you. You have the opportunity to create a brand new year, and a brand new year brings about your chance to become a new you. And as you hop on the line, would you please be willing to type into the chat box and let us know where you're calling in from? And also, if you could indicate if you can see my image on the screen with that lovely palm tree, and if you can hear my voice, that would be helpful for me as well. So welcome. If you'd like to share where you're coming in from, I know this is an international call. We have people from literally around the world, so that's very exciting. And if you wouldn't mind typing in the box if you can see my image and that you can hear my voice. And welcome to 2017, and it's very exciting to be able to kick off an amazing year, a very, very exciting year for all of us. So the fact that you are here today tells me that you are focused and you are determined for 2017 to offer as a new year and offers a new you as well. And thanks for letting me know that you can see my image and hear my voice. That is awesome. I appreciate that. It's very helpful. And as you come on too, if there's anything that you're hoping to learn today, feel free to share that in that chat box. We're going to have some fun with that. It is your opportunity to say what's on your mind and let us know what you're thinking of. So if there's anything special that you would love to learn today, feel free to put that in the chat question box as well. Welcoming everyone into a great 2017, and we're just kicking off this year. It's a time for us to really reflect and imagine what kind of life we could have and how things could actually be different for us. It's very, very exciting to think of designing a dream and designing a dream that is absolutely unshakable. No matter what the storms of life may bring to us, having an unshakable dream helps us when the storms of life come our way. And believe me, they do. I think we all know that. I certainly do, that's for sure. So welcome. And when you join us, if you would like to type in that chat box at the bottom, probably on the bottom right end of your screen where it says write your message here, feel free to type in where you are joining us from today. And also, if there's anything that you were hoping to learn today, that would be great too. So we will be using this box. I promised that this would be an interactive call. It's interactive, and I promised it would be fun. So I try to make it as fun as possible. So that's part of who I am, is answering that question, how can I make this fun? So that's very, very important. We're glad you're here, ready to kick off 2017. I'm so happy that you are here to join us. Again, when you come on to the call, if you feel like typing in where you're joining us from, that would be great. And if you have anything special you would love to learn today, that would be really, really great. Good. So we have definitely an international call, people from around the world. And it's really fun isn't it glorious how technology can unite us no matter where we are in this great world of ours. So thank you for being here, and I'm very, very excited that we can share some time today. So glad that you are here. Feel free when you arrive on the line to let us know where you are joining us from. You could just type that in the chat box, and we will be using that chat box to communicate today and really keep the call moving and definitely interactive. So this is your chance to really get in there and say what you're feeling, and it's good. It's all very, very good and very, very positive. And with that, I am seeing that we are at the top of the hour. So I am going to get started and welcome everyone. So glad that you are here. And if you would like to share where you're joining us from, that would be great. And with that, we will begin our call. Welcome to the live training, Designing Your Unshakable Dream for 2017. And I am Mary Nurburn, and I am the founder of Reawaken Your Roar. And Reawaken Your Roar is a group for 50-something women. And I totally believe that as we go through life and more things happen to us, that we can continue to be alive and powerful and showing up as who we are meant to be in your lives. And I believe that it's time for each of us to reawaken that inner roar that we have and really take charge of our lives so that whatever we're longing for can become our reality. And it is possible. And I totally believe that. And I'm a wonderful living example of that. So again, thank you for being here today. And I'm so happy that you are joining us literally from around the world. And I'm going to ask two things of you. First of all, I'm going to give you everything on this call. So it's kind of like you and me having this conversation about how to really design a dream that is unshakable. I have that image of the palm tree because I love how palm trees can bend and bend and bend with those challenges of life that we all have. And how do we come back from that? How do we remain unshakable when we start to design and craft and really decide what we want to have show up in our lives? So I'm going to give you everything that I can today. And I'm going to ask two things of you. First, that you be focused. And in this day of technology and all kinds of distractions that we have with phones and emails and texting, aren't we great at multitasking? I know I'm good at that. But to be able to simply do yourself a favor and be focused. And also, bring a pen and paper, cup of coffee, tea, whatever you want to do to really focus on you for this time that we have together and really allow yourself to step in to who you would absolutely love to be. And also, the second thing I'm going to ask is that you be engaged. This is for you, and it takes a certain sense of focus to really get the most that you can out of this live training that we're doing today. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be stopping periodically and asking questions. And you will actually have the opportunity to respond in that chat box where you write your message. So please take advantage of that. So I'll be asking questions and you can voice your opinion or share what you're thinking or whatever the question is that's being posed. So that's why it's interactive, it's live, and it's fun. So thank you ahead of time for participating. I think you'll really super enjoy that part of the presentation today. And also, I recognize that you've taken a good hour plus out of your day to come and spend time with me. And I want to give you a gift for that. A book that I wrote a handful of years ago, Jack It Up, a 50-something women's guide to fixing a flat life and start living again, is a book that is filled with tips to get back on the road when you've been sidelined. And I'm speaking from experience, so I know what it's like to be sidelined, as so many people have. It's a book that helps you to live more expansively and more energetically. And it actually gives you opportunity to do some journaling on the inside where I'll be saying it's your turn to take some steps in the direction of your dream, and then actually some opportunities to really lean into your intentions that you're designing for yourself. At the end of the live training, I will share with you how you can get your copy. And here's what I know about you. You have this deep desire to design this unshakable dream so you can reawaken your roar. You've gotten so far away from living your dream in many cases by helping everybody else. Maybe it's your aging parents or children or coworkers. Maybe it's your staff at work, helping everybody else to live their lives that maybe you don't even know how to start to wake up so you can truly reawaken your roar and show up as that dynamic woman that you are. So on this live training, I'm going to give you a step-by-step process so you can wake up to your possibility to reawaken your roar and show up dynamically. So if you don't know where to start and you're ready to be inspired, then this webinar is for you. So relax, enjoy, take plenty of notes, ask questions, type in the chat. I've got my eye on there. So when I see a question pop up, I can respond to it. So let's make this interactive and do my best to keep it fun. So here you are, possibly feeling depleted, drained, a 50-something woman, or well beyond, feeling empty, perhaps drowsy, just from giving and giving so much to other people and maybe not showing up in the life that you would love for yourself. And so what I want to do is go from that position of drained and drowsy to being awake and alive, and giving you a sense that feeling this way, awake, alive, in charge of your life, is absolutely possible for you. And I'm going to show you how to get there today. And that's the place where you reawaken your roar. And when you begin to fill your cup by taking care of yourself and learning how to design an unshakable dream for yourself to guide yourself along the way, then from that place of fullness, you can give freely to other people. And it all makes sense. So that's the place where you reawaken your roar, when you come and fill yourself up and learn how to be the very best you. And that's what I want for you. But before we go there, let's take a look at why so many of us feel like our cup is empty. How did we get that way in the first place? That's the big question. And very often we've donated so much of our time to everyone else for many, many years that we become what everybody else expects us to be. Whether it's that boss, the coworker, the colleague, the mom, the parent, the whatever. Maybe we had kids, we were driving them all over, or maybe taking care of our aging parents, supporting our team at work. No matter what it is, very often we somehow become what other people want us to be, and we're not showing up as ourselves. We end up cheerleading everyone else on. I'll give you an example. My daughter played club volleyball for several years, and I love to cheer her on. I just love volleyball. Not that I've played it, but I love watching it. And I remember when my daughter was playing that in high school, going to tournaments in these big, large arenas with 60 or so courts. It was huge, and the noise, and it was so much fun. And I would stand between two courts attempting to videotape her and getting bumped on the butt by a stray ball, and I loved it all. It was so much fun, and I was cheering her on, and that's very often what we do with our lives, and we love it because we're women and we're nurturers, right? We love serving others because we are nurturers by nature. That's just how we're constructed as women. But you know what? Along the way, we begin to put our dreams on hold very often. And you know what the sad part is? And this happened to me. Often we don't even realize it. When we are so busy cheerleading everybody else, whether it's home, work, parents, whatever, that we start putting our own dreams on hold. And in fact, we begin to feel disconnected from any dreams or any kind of vision that we have for our lives. We just feel disconnected because we're so busy focusing on everybody else. In fact, we actually get out of touch with what we love. We sometimes don't even know how to get there anymore. And we often end up settling for less and less in our lives because we're so distanced from any kind of dream or vision or plan for our lives that our lives sometimes become a little bit blurry, and we become a little bit drowsy. Perhaps you know what I'm talking about. So ta-da, it's your turn. This is what I promised. So what I'm going to ask is, what can you relate to the most that I was just talking about? What part of this story feels like your story? What part that I've discussed so far really resonates with you? And so you can go ahead and type your response into the chat box. This is your chance to be engaged in the conversation, be engaged with the content, and really claim your feelings. So, what part of the story, what I've been talking about so far, with these descriptions of what happens to us over time, what resonates with you? What part really connects with you? And you say, ah, that's me. That's my life. You're talking about me. You got it. You got this figured out, Mayor. That's what I want to hear. So if you'd love to pop some information into that chat box and let us know what's resonating with you that I've talked about so far, what feels like your story, what's absolutely connecting with you right now, just feel free to go ahead. And I'm keeping my eye on the chat conversation. So go ahead and feel free to put some information, some thoughts, some feelings. Just go ahead and type it into the box, and that would be absolutely fine. So go ahead, and I'll keep my eye open for what people are saying. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that. I see that a comment of really putting our what we want on hold because we're looking after everybody else, making sure they are all okay. And don't we do that? We just do it by nature, and we love to do it. And being there for other people. And when we do that, we start to lose our passion. And when it's so important to be able to acknowledge our dreams, and we totally forget. It falls off our radar, doesn't it? It's like, wait a minute. I get to dream of something. I get to design my own life. I get to figure out what I want to do in my life. And sometimes we totally forget that that's part of how we're supposed to live. And it's so easy. I super appreciate the feedback that you are sending in. This is awesome. And we do that, don't we? We just focus on everybody else, making sure everybody else is okay. And very often it's to our own detriment, and we don't even realize it. We don't even realize it so many times. Terrific. Thank you for your responses. So let's see what we can do to really acknowledge our dreams, acknowledge that we do have the ability to dream and vision and plan for our lives. And let's take a look at how we can do that. And that's what the training is about today. So thank you for participating with putting your comments in there. I really appreciate that. And I want to tell you that if this feels like your story, you're not alone. And in fact, your story is my story too. I could take a couple minutes and share a little bit about my story of becoming who I am. I love that sign, become who you are, because that's our mission in life, is to really show up as who we are. That's what it's all about. That's why we're here, is to really figure out who we are and really show up as that person. And 30 years ago, I'll share a little story. The company that I was working for way back then brought in a motivational speaker. And I was sitting in the first row with an empty seat next to me. And to my surprise, the speaker, you won't believe who this was, the speaker sat down next to me before he got called up onto the stage. Zig Ziglar turned to me, shook my hand, and asked how I was doing. Oh, wow. What can I say? That encounter that day set me on a path, that was 30 years ago, of studying with great mentors all I could about personal growth and development. And it was so important to me to learn and to learn and to learn. And one time I loved going to events, and I've traveled to events all around the country. And, sometimes we're not tuned into our dream. We're just not there. And it's just not on our radar. And thanks for saying that you're giving away all your energy, thinking more of others. I love that comment that I'm seeing in the chat, because we do that. And I had children dedicated to my kids, what they wanted, busy with work, taking care of my mom. You're just giving it all away. And so I was at this event, and I was at, there was a table at the back of the room, and these gentlemen were selling a product. And I just went up to the table, and the fellow said to me, well, are you ready to get started and with this product that we have? And I just hemmed and hawed, and I was hemming and hawing about my own life because I wasn't ready to step up. And he said, oh, and he just kind of turned away from me, and he kind of said over his shoulder, well, come back when you're ready. And I was just I was kind of floored by that. But that's, you know what, that's what life does to us. When we're given opportunities and we keep turning away from them, then life keeps turning away from us because every day is packed with opportunity if we're open to seeing those opportunities. And so, years later, I was working as a high school teacher. I lost that job. My position was eliminated. So I've had a lot of loss. I understand when people talk about loss. And I started working in corporate America. And I knew that there was something more for me with my background. As I was a teacher, I was a corporate trainer, I was a speaker, and a coach I was working with said to me, at some point, you've got to throw your hat over the fence and follow it. And I knew it was time for me to focus in on what I wanted, how I wanted to show up. It was my turn to become who I am. So important. And so many people live their lives without becoming who they are. So anyhow, to continue with my story, I dreamt up writing this book, Jack It Up, a 50-something women's guide to fixing a flat life and start living again. And boy, I had a lot of fixing I had to do to pull together and keep going and over and over and over again, which I realize so many people have in their lives. So we're all, it's part of the human condition, I guess you could say. And I wrote that book about reviving a flat life. And I found a coach to work with, and I realized that I loved teaching about personal development. I used to teach English and foreign language, and I love words, and I always taught that. But then this buzz, this electricity around teaching about personal development was, oh, I loved it. It just made me sing. And so what I did is I became a transformational life coach, certified, and then I also went on and became a certified positive thinking coach. So I have different accreditations in that area. So what I do is I blend possibility with positivity. So there's a beautiful blending of both of those wonderful, wonderful areas. And what I do is I lead by example because I am constantly throwing my hat over the ring. I've done it into the ring, over the fence, and just, you wouldn't believe what I have done in the course of my life. And sometimes it's super scary, but I know how I can continue to move on in the direction of my dream. I've learned those skills. And what I want to share with you is, if you have a pencil and pen, I'm going to do a little taking the kind of the pulse, if you will, of where everyone is. So let's take a look at, this is called the Roar Revival, and it's part of Reawaken Your Roar. And Reawaken Your Roar is actually a closed Facebook group for 50-something women. And if you're not a member yet, please, when you get a minute, not right now, but when you get a minute, just go to reawakenyourroar.com and you can join. We have over 700 women from 4 continents all over the world as part of that group. It's a very dynamic, motivational, inspirational group. So you're welcome to join us if you're not already a member. I designed the Roar Revival to help us figure out how we're waking up our roar and reawakening our roar. And what I'd like you to do, and I'd like to get your feedback along the way, is to see where you are on this scale. It's kind of a Richter scale of reviving your roar, getting your roar back. So let's take a look. So I'd like you to kind of analyze or figure out if you are snoozing, or are you meowing, kind of waking up a little bit? Are you snarling? Or are you a little more intentional and you're growling? Or are you out and out roaring? I'm going to talk about each of these a little bit. So snoozing, you're still kind of asleep at the switch, if you will, of life. Really disconnected from what's lighting you up, kind of out of touch, stuck, not really aware of how you can show up as you in your life, and you're feeling discouraged and maybe even just sad because you're not being who you're supposed to be. And what you can do is to make some adjustments on that, is to dig deep and retrieve what lights you up. And a long time ago, way long time ago, I taught business writing and business English at the college level, which, and again, I love words. And I taught creative writing. And it's kind of amazing that I came up with a program where I can teach people how to really access what they love. And I'll talk about that more in a few minutes. And the next step is meowing. Are you kind of waking up, committing to who you are, starting to focus on the possibility for your life? You're curious, but still kind of like cloudy about now how to get there, and hopeful, but you're a little bit hesitant. So, what I recommend is that you draft a dream, and that's what we're working on today, designing an unshakable dream based on what makes you roar, based on what you love, based on what it is that you love. And the next step, maybe you're snarling. So feel free to type in which one of these you're at. You're feeling more animated, and anima comes from the Latin. It means soul. So you've got some soul to you. You've got some aliveness going on. Taking some small steps to develop your dream. You're revived, but still at the unskilled level. You're excited, but unsure what's next. So what you can do is really, really important is to ditch what no longer serves you and let it go. There's so much work we need to do to clear the field so that we can build this amazing dream that we have, this vision that we have for our lives. But sometimes there's a lot of stuff that's got to go. It's got to go. And then there's growling. And growling when you're really starting to kick free and really we start getting our act together there and constructing a steady course of action. We're following along, really aware, seeking clarity, and we're energized, but still a little anxious because we're not quite sure what we're doing. And what we can do there to really advance the ball down the court, if you will, is to deploy advanced thinking strategies. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about that. One of that is intuition, listening to our still small voice of who we should be. And then finally showing up as roaring. Woohoo! And that's when we're really in that flow-free, cascading stage of our lives. We're showing up as the star player, living as our authentic you and being fully alive. So I have a couple people that have chimed in here. We've got a growling and we've got a snarling. Thank you for your feedback. And we've got a meowing. And there's another snarling. Anybody else want to chime in there? Just go ahead and type which stage are you snoozing, meowing, snarling, growling, or roaring. So let's take a look and see where you're at. And feel free to pop that information in the box if you'd like to share how you're feeling about all this. So just having, ladies, an awareness around how we can go from really being asleep at the switch, if you will, on our life, snoozing, to roaring, and anywhere in between. And once we start to get an awareness around that, it's really helpful for us to say, oh, I got to go this far. Oh, I'm pretty good. Or I've got some more work to do, kind of a thing. And we can kind of analyze where we are. So it's really powerful, and hopefully this has been helpful to you. So if you haven't typed in yet, and if I see some other votes, I see another snarling. Thank you for that, and meowing, and we've got some kind of in betweens, halfway between snarling and halfway between growling. So good. So we've got, and sometimes that tells me there might be some work to do and letting go of what's no longer serving you. So okay, so we got somewhere between meowing and snarling. All right, so so at least you might not have it pinpointed, but you kind of get like an overall picture to just kind of weigh in and see where you are on the scale. So hopefully this has been helpful, and you enjoyed the fun pictures too. So thanks for weighing in on that assessment there. And what I've created to be able to really begin to access where we are is what I call the Reawaken Your Roar roadmap. And what that allows us to do is to really get a kind of an overall roadmap, if you will, on how to really get to that point where we are reawakening our roar and we're really showing up dynamically. And this is my life and this is how I am, and I'm done with drowsy and I'm not going down the worry trail anymore, and just showing up in our power. And I love that picture of the lion, so the lioness. And if you think of the big cats, whether it's a lion or a tiger or a leopard or whatever those big types of big cats, and when you see pictures or videos of them walking and how their shoulders just move back and forth with all that power. And you know what? We've got that same kind of power in us that sometimes gets lost or tossed off on the side, or we lose track of it or whatever. So The roadmap allows us to commit. Let's start out on the left and we'll just kind of follow the paw prints around, committing to a couple of things to ourselves, that indeed we are worthy to design a dream, because some women don't think that, and that we can commit to possibility, that we can believe, that we can buy into the fact, if you will, that things are possible for us and we can design what we would love in our lives. And then we move from there to connect. We connect with what we really love. And I'm going to talk about how to do that. I really love helping women to reconnect with what it is that you really love. And very often it's going back to our childhood. And I'll talk about more about that in just a minute. And then we move on to conceive, coming up with these ideas to design this dream, to craft this marvelous, unshakable dream that's with us, whether it's beautiful sunny day and our lives are grounded, or we're in this the waving of the palm tree and the wind and we're being bent over through the challenges of life. No matter where we are, we're coming up with this unshakable dream, and we're going to figure out ways to make it happen. And then the next step is to cut away. And cut away simply means to release what no longer serves us. We got to get rid of. There's certain things we just have to get rid of in our lives that are not serving us and are keeping us stuck and holding us back. And then we move forward into kind of an advanced stage, if you will, where we really start to construct a lot of powerful ways for our lives. I mentioned using our intuition, and then cascade, just kind of the image of the waterfall where our lives are free flowing. Yes, we have challenges, but we know how to work with them better. We don't get sidelined and thrown off track as easily as maybe we used to. And the beautiful part when we work with this is we start to go down this Reawaken Your Roar roadmap. It helps us to become the authentic you, really showing up as who we are meant to be. And, you know, deep down, I really believe that we know who we're supposed to be, but sometimes it's just figuring out how to get there. We get lost or thrown off track for that. And to really show up in the star player in your A game, I had a client once that said, you know, I've got 20 people that report to me, and I'm taking care of my mother, and I'm doing all these things. I just want to get in the game of my life. I want to play my A game, not just my B game or my C game. I want to play my A game, and I want to be the star player. And she did. And it's amazing when we make that commitment to ourselves and just say, this is me and I'm ready. And it also lets us get our dreams in hand, that we just grab onto that glorious power pose and say, okay, I got it. This is what I want. Let's just take a little minute here. And if you got a second and you can, and you're not driving down the road, if you can extend your hands out as that gal is doing, take just a second to do that. If you're not familiar with that pose, it's called the power pose. And it's especially effective when we're standing. Feel free to stand up and stretch out into that power pose, where we start to change at the physiological level when we extend our arms like that, and we can feel change and excitement and movement and power in our bodies. And that's how we get when we really latch onto a dream. We get this idea, we start to birth this amazing idea of what we love to have in our life, and we really get our dreams in hand. And then we start to get in touch with where we're going and get back on track with our lives, because it's so easy to fall off and get sidelined. Very easy to do. It's happened to me, so I know. And here's what happens. Learning to listen to the potential in ourselves. And we have an ambitious young woman inside of us. And maybe she's hiding, or maybe she's somewhat hanging out, and you're aware of her again. But no matter where you are, this gal said, you know, you should have seen me when I was in my 20s. I was running that sorority, and on and on and on. And then I invite you to kind of take a minute, and we're at your turn again. And let's take a minute and talk about, get your feedback on what is one step that you could, one idea, one concept that you can take away from these overall concepts of committing to yourself, believing that a dream is possible for you, believing that you're worthy of a dream. Which one of these is resonating from you, or is a takeaway, some kind of an awareness, some light bulb is going off for you? Connecting, knowing that you need to connect with what it is you really love, and there are ways to access that. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Conceiving, and birthing a dream, cutting away, having an awareness that we all have to cut away and get rid of what's no longer serving us, because we hang on to a lot of stuff and it's gotta go. And construct and really build. So which one of these 6 C's, the commit, connect, conceive, cut away, construct, cascade, what is there any in that area, something that I said is connecting with you? What kind of takeaways might you have? Please feel free to go ahead and type that into the chat box at the bottom of your screen, and just share your ideas, because we're having a conversation around this. With cutting away what's no longer serving you, there's a lot, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I'll give you some examples of it if you can't think of anything right now. And constructing and really starting to use our mental faculties, not just our 5 senses, and then really start cascading. So if you come up with an idea, please go ahead and type it in the chat, and I will continue on with this. And the reason why, when we start to apply these 6 C's, to commit to ourselves, connect with what really lights us up, to conceive, give birth to new ideas, design that unshakable dream, release what no longer serves us, cut it away, construct, build new powerful ideas to really move us forward, and cascading. The Okay, the fear of failing. Absolutely. Boy, isn't that a great fear? Thanks for putting that in there, because gosh, how many times have we not tried something because we think we're going to fail? And failure is simply feedback, and it's okay to fail. And they often talk about people failing upward. They talk about falling upward, or sometimes they say failing upward. And sometimes we fail our way to success. So we've got all kinds of stuff that's weighing me down. So I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes, give you some examples of what might be weighing any of us down. And we got to cut it away. We absolutely have to cut it away. So hopefully this conversation is beneficial for you. So continue to enjoy and take notes. And because so many of us get so far away from what we love, we often don't know where to start to rejuvenate ourselves, to live in aliveness. So in this live training that we're doing today, I'm actually going to zoom in on 2 of the steps, conceive and cut away. I'll mention all of them, but I'm going to focus a lot on the 2 steps, to conceive and cut away, and really share some cutting edge strategies to help you revive and energize that woman inside of you. She's in there, and she just wants to get back out and say, this is me, and I'm amazing, and let me out. I want to get out of here. And and I'm going to talk about that. People with negative energy. I'm going to get to that in a minute. So thanks for adding that in, because it's really interesting that a lot of people are mentioning that one of the steps of cutting away and releasing what's no longer serving us is very powerful. It's very critical, and we often don't realize it. So let's start out with commit. And commit is, I love that rose. And a rose is that international sign of love, right? And so to me, it's an important way to commit to ourselves, that we love ourselves and we value ourselves and we are worthy. And sometimes it's easy to lose that if we've been hurt by someone or mistreated by someone. Sometimes that worthiness can just really slip away. So again, having an awareness around that, and committing to ourselves with love, and committing to possibilities for our lives, that we can actually design an unshakable dream. We can design it. Whatever we've got in our head, we can come up with ideas, and we can take steps to make them happen. It's amazing. And sometimes it's hard to believe, but it's true. We can do that. And part of that committing process is to switch our mindset and to say, I love the journey of my life. And sometimes I'll talk with people and they stay stuck in feeling hurt or angry or resentful, and they can't get away from it. And when I talk about cutting away, all that, it's got to go. It's all got to go. I'm I've been really good sometimes in my life at being a victim. I've been really darn good at weeping and wailing and moaning as a victim. But it might take a while. It might take a couple hours. It might take a couple days. I've had to take months to figure out I got to change that. It's got to go. It's got to go. And once we take responsibility for changing our mindset and saying, hey, I love the journey of my life. It's not always easy because life is not perfect. But when we shift our mindset to really believe that our journey is beautiful no matter what, and accepting our journey and not comparing ourselves to other people. They have a bigger house than I do, or they get to travel more than I do. And it's got to go. It's got to go. We've got to embrace who we are and our own particular journey. And once we change that mindset, boy, I'll tell you, it gets powerful when we embrace our journey and we show gratitude for what we have, no matter what, and we move forward with that. Big shift, huge, and a lot of people have no clue to do that, and they stay in victimhood, and I've been there, and they refuse to move forward. But once you quit, knock off the victimhood stuff and say, I'm a victor, I'm a winner in this, and I love the journey of my life. Big shift, trust me. The second step I want to talk about with sharing with you is connect. And when I talk about connect, I'm using the term to reconnect with what it is you really love. And as I mentioned, I've created a program around this through the work I've done a long time ago in teaching creative writing and journaling and using writing techniques to help access what it is that we really, really love. And there's an image in front of you of a young girl, and she's there for a reason. So I'm going to invite you and start thinking about this, and please jump in and share this in the chat because we've got a great conversation going. So thank you, everybody, for hopping in and speaking and showing up here. Connecting with what lights us up, okay? What did you absolutely love as a young girl? So start thinking what you used to do. So, I know we're all 50 something or well beyond wherever we are, but go back when you were that little girl, or maybe it was when you were a teenager, or maybe even when you're 20s. So kind of think back. All right, who am I and what did I love? So I love teaching people how to access our childhood loves. What did you love? What did you pretend to be? What just got you so excited? What did you do when you were a little girl that you absolutely kept doing over and over again and you absolutely lost track of time? You had no idea what time it was, and mom calls in for dinner and was like, what? I'm still playing and I'm having so much fun. What were you doing that absolutely lit you up? It's so important. So start, jotting notes down. Please feel free to type in the chat what lit you up, what just got you so excited, what made you roar. Somebody likes to, thank you for sharing the dancing. And and sometimes what happens is, I'll just use that dance as an example. When we are young, we have these brilliant ideas, and maybe somebody says, oh, I want to be a ballerina someday, or maybe somebody said to you, oh, women, when they grow up, they're either a teacher or a nurse or a secretary. Did you ever hear that when we were growing up back in our day? And I don't know if you could really be a ballet dancer, or what if you want to be a firefighter? Oh, that's for boys. Or scientist. You want to be a scientist? That's for boys. And you know what happens is sometimes people start to step on that and squash those dreams when we're younger. But what I want to know is, what was it you loved to do? So you were dancing, thank you for the painting, you were painting, whatever it was that you just lost track of time because it was so much fun. So feel free to hop in the chat and let us know what it was that you absolutely love. While you're thinking and typing, Figure skating. Oh, I love to skate. Oh my goodness, I love to skate. And I kind of did a version of skating backwards. I love to skate. I love to skate. When I was a little girl, and then keep typing in the chat. This is great. I love sharing all this. I'll share something here on this particular slide about the dreamer that we have within us, and making things. Thank you, and creating and designing. Well, there you go. You got a talent, huh? Um, to use towards creating a dream. So when I was a little girl, I it was back in the day when on TV in the early evening, maybe let's say around 7 o'clock our time here in the States, they would have TV shows that were around where people were being interviewed, or there might be a comedian, or it was a family show, and there might be entertainment and the variety type shows and so on. And so I would be in my room. I was very quiet, and I would be in my room, and I had this great big dressing table that my sister and I shared, and a great big mirror, almost the size of the one that you see. And I would be sitting there at this room, in my room, with the door shut, of course. And my family was out listening to this variety show, and people being interviewed, and they got the microphone. I'm imagining Johnny Carson or something on the Tonight Show or whatever. But these were in the early evening shows. And I would be in there looking in the mirror, and I would have my hair just so, and I would be gesturing and talking into the mirror and answering questions, and people would be asking me questions, and I would be answering those questions, and I was having a great time all by myself in my room. So what does that all have to do with anything? Very often they say that what we love to do as a child has a strong connection to what we're really successful in as adults. So that's why I'm asking you to think about what it was that you really lost track of time. And over the years, I started out right out of college as a high school teacher a long time ago. And so I was a teacher, a corporate trainer, a speaker, a coach, and that all tied in with me being interviewed, and I'm talking into a microphone now, and I was sitting there in front of in my room pretending I had a microphone in my hand. Probably remember how we used to use a hairbrush and talk, and that a hairbrush was the microphone. I probably had a hairbrush in my hand talking. But it's so important. It's so delightful when we really tap into what it was we loved when we were younger. And when we do that, when we really get in touch, and thanks everybody for participating and putting in your ideas, when we really tap into what it is that we love, then we start to get reconnected, and we get energized, and we get strong, because we know what it is that we love. And could we possibly do some variation of that as an adult? Because it lights us up. It makes us excited. I'm going to move on to our third step of conceive. And I really want to take a deep dive here and talk about just this whole design process of conceiving. And when I'm talking about conceiving, I'm talking about thinking up ideas of what we would love. And when we tap into what it was that we loved as a child, our story, success leaves clues. And it very often can be, as I mentioned, that what we loved as a child can really point a strong finger in the direction of what we might be loving to do right now as an adult. So just keep that in mind. It's very, very positive. But when we get into this conceive mode, what we're going to do, and here's the powerful technique, is that we're going to start to ask some different questions. Very often when I say to people, well, what is your dream? Well, I've had people just stare at me. I was at an event once, and a woman was saying, I gave her my card, and it said I'm a dream builder, and she said I'd say she was in her 50s or so age category, and she just looked at me with this sad look on her face, and she said, "Oh, I'm too old to dream." And I didn't know what to say, and with all due respect, what the words that came out of my mouth are, "Well, you're still breathing, aren't you?" And I said it with all respect, but the point is, as long as we're breathing, as long as we're still alive, we can dream. Yes. So thank you for growing up where dreams were not allowed, and now to be strong and to dream of freedom and education and family, and to dream of freedom. And what we do now is dream of our own personal freedom, our ability to really show up in our lives. So again, thank you for that participation. I appreciate that. I'm going to invite you, and if you're taking notes, feel free to jot this down. But here's a question you can ask. Instead of just saying, what is your dream, which kind of people, I don't know, just kind of stop and can't come up with an answer. Try this question. What lights you up? What lights you up? I'm going to take that a little bit farther. What lights you up, kind of like a light bulb? What gives you electricity? What gives you buzz? Bzz, it just gets you so excited. Oh my gosh, I love that. Bzz, what absolutely lights you up that you get so excited? That's one question to ask yourself. So I hope you're writing it, have an opportunity to write that down. I invite you to write it down. Another different question besides what lights you up and on all the electricity and the charge and the excitement that goes with that. Another way to ask that question is, what would you love? What would you love to have? Who would you love to be? What would you love to do? All those areas helped us to really focus in on what it is we love. What would you love differently about your health? How would you like your health, for example, to be different? Or how would you love a relationship to be different, or a new relationship? Or how about a career, or the work you do in the world, or the a volunteer work that you do? How would you like that different? How would you like to be showing up financially in the world? Those are some questions that you can be asking yourself, and asking different questions to help. Here's another question. What makes you come alive? So back in the day, I don't think I could do a handstand now. I did eventually learn how to do a cartwheel when I was younger. It wasn't my first thing out of the gate that I learned how to do, but I did do some handstands. And when we think of that energy that we had as a girl, and how we could just flip around, and what makes you come alive? And there's I've heard it say that go and do what makes you come alive, and then you'll be giving to the rest of the world, because they will benefit from your energy and your excitement and your vision and your power, because you are doing what makes you come alive. You're doing what lights you up. You're doing what you would love. Those are all powerful questions to help you design and draft your dream. So please hop in and feel free to add in anything that you would like to, what makes you come alive. If you'd like to share that with us, go right ahead and hop in. So I'll give you a second for that. As we're drafting and designing our dream about what makes us come alive, it's really powerful to tap into what we love to do as a child, and really access and really appreciate and tap into and reconnect with what lights us up and what makes us come alive. I also recommend that you have what I call a birthing room. And the birthing room is the birthing room for your ideas. And that vision, or that window with the water out there, is what I looked at when I wrote my book. I probably wrote 80% of it staring at that water. And it was really a fun experience for me to be able to do that. And so find a spot for yourself, whether it's a particular room in your home, or out on your back patio, or some people like a little more noise going on, or energy level a little bit higher, and might want to show up in a coffee shop, wherever it is, your birthing room, to give value, to bring value to other people, is what you can do when you really start designing your dream. So it's super, super powerful to be able to do that. And I invite you to really connect with what's bubbling up. So it's kind of like when you've got this pot of ideas, and maybe you haven't really accessed them yet, but if you really learn how to reconnect with what it is that you really love through writing exercises that I love to share with people, you can really put your pot of water on the stove and start to turn the flame under it. And at first it'll be little bubbles going on, and you start getting kind of a rolling boil, and then it's like becomes into a full boil of your ideas that are bubbling up inside of you. And keep a journal and write them down. And an interesting thing to do is to write down a question at night. Write it on maybe a little index card and take that question with you as you go to sleep. And it's interesting when you put your ideas on what we call the back burner, if you will. Uh, and really, your subconscious can help you to generate some ideas during the night, and you can wake up with your ideas in a full, rolling, excited boil about what is really bubbling up on the inside of you. You can also move from what I love to call delicious daydreaming. Isn't it fun to just, or not daydreaming, but dreaming, delicious dreaming? Sometimes it's a daydream, but when you are doing a delicious dream, you are really focused and you have steps in mind that you are doing. And it's wonderful. And just tapping into what we loved when we were younger and allowing those clues, those success clues. Um, yes. And serving other people. Thank you. And she's got being creative, growing vegetables in your dream of Italy and serving others. And it's amazing. And this conversation is tying into what I said at the beginning. When we fill ourselves up by figuring out what it is that we love and reconnecting with what really lights us up, giving birth to ideas, cutting away what no longer serves us, taking bigger steps to construct even bigger dreams, then we get back where we can serve others from a spot of really being full and not drained, not empty, not depleted, not worn out, but we come from a fullness where we're able to give to other people. And we love to do that because we're women. So it all works out. I love that. So thank you for your feedback, ladies. But the delicious dreaming, coming up with ideas. And then, all right, then we start to get powerful. And then we go from delicious dreaming to determined designing. And we really get in there. Designing your unshakable dream. And we get the war paint on, and we might not be positive about what we're doing, and we might be a little fuzzy wuzzy about it, but we know what we want. We're ready to go after it. And it's when we think of that, we think of ourselves kind of that power that we had as young girls, that determination, that fight that we had that sometimes just like wears away over time. We just get worn out in our lives. But when you pull that back, however we were when we were little, when we were that little girl, and just think back to who she was and reconnect with her, because she's in there and she's fighting for you because she wants you to be your best. She wants you to reawaken your roar. And that's who you are, and that's who she is on the inside of you. Let's take a minute and hop over to our next step. And our next step is the phase called cut away. You know how it is when you look in the mirror in the morning sometimes and you go, oh, I need a haircut. Oh, this hair's got to go. And we're looking at the split ends and it's like, oh, I can't, what can I do with this hair? Got to cut it away. And it's such a powerful image for cutting away the stuff that no longer serves us. I'm going to go into some really powerful examples. So please feel free to take some notes. Hop into the chat, pop in your comments, your ideas, anything resonates with you, something like, oh, this is me to a T. Please go right ahead and just put that right into the chat and we'll get a conversation going around it. Keep it fun. Cutting away. What we're trying to cut away is our limited thinking that keeps us living small. Our limited thinking keeps us living small. We're not with our arms up in the power pose, designing, creating, drafting, envisioning, coming up for ideas with our lives, but we stay in, it's so easy to stay in our limited, lackluster, powerless thinking that keeps us living low. And I'm going to give you an example, a great example. And I said that I was going to talk about some different questions to ask, and I was going to talk about the one question to never, ever ask. And that one question is how? And this might make sense at first. We got to cut away. We got to let go of being so hung up on how am I going to make it happen? Because the only thing that's important is what is going to happen. And when we take steps in the direction of the what, the how will present itself. I'm going to say that again. When we take steps in the direction of the what would you love for your life? And we name it and we claim it and we begin to move in that direction, the how just shows up. The people show up in our lives, the situation shows up in our lives, the money shows up in our lives, whatever it is, the big question marks that we have. How is this ever going to happen? On the woe and in the woe and the victimhood and all. When we learn to let go of the word how and just keep taking steps, little bitty steps, step. What's my next step? What's the next action? And not worry about the how. Just do it sometimes and it all works out. Very, very positive. And it's a great mindset. It's a great awareness to have, is to knock off asking the word how all the time. Here's another example. Cut away living in lack. And very often when we talk about living in lack, the first thing we think of is money. And what lack, of course, can be a lack of financial resources. That's certainly obvious. But lack can also be lack of thinking in abundance, living in lack, thinking that, oh, I don't have enough credentials, or, I really don't have a lot of education. I could never do that. Or, oh, they would never believe me because I don't have that diploma on my wall, and I'll never get that job. That's lack. That's living in lack. When our mindset is like that, when we just, oh, I'm not good enough, and I'm never going to have a great big fancy job like Susie or whatever it is, and we compare ourselves to other people, and we start positioning ourselves and looking through the lens of lack. Knock it off. We got to cut it away. It's got to go. Make a little note to yourself. Make a list of the things that you're feeling in lack about, and draw a line and just say, it's got to go. I got to knock it off. I got to stop it. I have to stop it. I've got to cut it away. I got to release it. It's got to go. Because when you're building, as I mentioned before, when you're building that field of dreams, you got to clear the field. You got to get the big boulders out of the way. Back in the old days, remember, I watching this was in my lifetime, but I remember watching on TV and movies where there would be a big field and a farmer would hitch up to the plow, and he put ropes around a boulder, and then he'd get the team of horses or oxen, and they'd send them forward and pull the boulder out. Getting rid of some of this stuff in our lives is difficult, if not harder than getting those boulders out of the field. So that's a great image to have, and have an awareness around that it's got to go. We live very often in lack, and it's got to go, whether it's financial lack, I don't have enough money, I don't have the resources, I'm too old is another terrific one. No, you're not too old, you're still breathing. So if we change that attitude around, this might tie into one of the comments that we saw earlier about a negative influences. Isn't that interesting that we have that negativity when we're surrounded? Now, the first thing is negative influence. We very often think of other people that are so focused on what's going wrong in the world, and it's not going to work out, and on and on and on and on and on. And sometimes they call them Debbie Downer. You hear the expression sometimes. Being aware of negative influences. And sometimes we live with people who are negative. And I'll give you an example. A job I had years and years and years and years ago. I really liked it. I was working as a manager, and I started this job, and I said to the woman that hired me, I said, oh, these people around here, there's so many negative people. And she said, I know, Mary. And she said, you just have to put a bubble around yourself to insulate yourself from their negativity. Interesting concept, right? And so I thought, wow, isn't that interesting how sometimes we live with people, we work with people, or we're just exposed to people that we can't not see anymore type of thing. It's hard, but we have to be aware that, as Ralph Waldo Emerson has said, he says, I love this, stand guard at the portal of your mind. I'll repeat that in case you're a note taker like I am. Stand guard at the portal of your mind. Stand guard at the gate of your mind, because watch what's going into it. And so it's not just negative influences as people, but it's what we're hearing on the news too. And those are people as well. But we can turn off the television. We can turn off the radio. We can just stop. Just put some music on. Don't put that stuff in our head. There's so much negativity out there. Or maybe um, seeing what we're seeing, if we're looking on Facebook or social media and watching posts and getting kind of sucked into all the negative things. I mean, there's so many negative influences out there. We have to be aware of it. Got to stand guard at the portal of our mind and really cut away the negative influences, or if they're around you, putting a bubble of awareness around you and saying, okay, that person is negative, but I don't have to be that way. I'm going to just move on with my life. And not easy to do. I'm not saying it's easy, but just having an awareness, that's a way you can handle it. Or here's another one, cutting away. I invite you to make a list of this. The voices that we have, those internal voices. So, oh, I could try this. I could be living in Italy and growing vegetables, and that voice on the inside. You ever get that little voice inside? Like, who do you think you are? You've got to be kidding. Where are you coming up with this idea? There's no way it's going to work. How are you going to make that happen? And on and on and on and on and on. We've got to become aware. I invite you to become aware of the voices, those internal voices that we have that are speaking to us in a negative way, and just saying, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. I can't do this. I can't afford it. I can't do here. I don't have the credentials. I'm way too old. And when that voice starts speaking to us, that's spitting out negativity to us, is to really get out there and say, no. Oh, I see somebody says, oh yes, I totally get it, right? It's there. It's always there. And we've got to learn how to tame that voice that is saying, and there are ways to do that, to tame that voice. And when we get that initial no, that we can say, well, wait a minute. Let's talk about that. I'm going to make that a yes and figure out how to do it. And when I make the determination and say, when the big no is coming and I say, yes, I want it, I'm going to make it happen, then things begin to show up. It's amazing how that happens. Here's another cutaway. What we've got to cut away is going down the worry trail. And I had a client use that expression. She said, I keep going down the worry trail. And I love that. I love that expression, because every day, think of this, every day of our lives, we're presented with situations where we can pick going down the trail of positivity and making it happen and moving forward, versus the worry trail. And it's so easy to worry. I heard a quote once that worry is like rocking in a rocking chair. There's movement and you're doing something, but it doesn't get you anywhere. And going down the worry trail doesn't get you anywhere. So becoming aware of being in going down the worry trail is very, very important. Yeah, and sometimes that the people that we love, that love us, say things, and they're trying to protect us. And I invite you to that, that old expression called take it with a grain of salt, but accept what they're saying, but then say, well, what do I really want? What do I want? And sometimes we have to take risks, right? And step out of our comfort zone, or go get on the green growing edge of our comfort zone and take steps out of the comfort zone. And people want to protect us. They don't want us to get hurt. They don't want us to make mistakes. They don't want us to spend money foolishly. They don't want us, so many things that our loved ones want to protect us from. Absolutely, 100% true. But again, I invite you to think, well, what would I love? What's lighting me up? Is this something that's important for me so I can show up the way I want to show up? So, I love the conversations we've got going. Thank you, ladies. This is absolutely delightful. Thank you so much. Peggy says, I no longer worry like I used to. She quit going down the worry trail. She said the impossible is now possible for me. Wow. So many times there's so much that we feel is impossible. But when we take steps in the direction of our dream, then somehow it becomes possible. It's amazing. It's amazing how that works. Another piece of this is to construct. And then when we begin to construct, we start to use our mental faculties. We start to use advanced thinking strategies, because not everything comes to us through our five senses: our sight, the sound, touch, smell, feeling. But we also have mental faculties. And one of our, for example, mental faculties that we have at our disposal is our intuition. listening to that still small voice. Is this what I love? Is this something that I would love? And meditating on it or reflecting on it or putting a question on a small card and reading it before we go to sleep and listening to that still small voice of intuition and getting to recognize the voice of our intuition. And you'll know it just like you recognize a friend's voice when you answer the phone. You get to recognize that voice of intuition. It's like, yeah, this is what I want. This is me. Yeah, 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 yeah. I want this. So advanced thinking strategies. And then when we start to do that, we start to build and maintain the success that we're doing. And it's really exciting when we get to that point. And then the last step is to cascade. We become in this flow of possibility. We live in the flow. We're not agitated. We're not living in chaos. We flow. And just as in music, I had a woman I was taking voice lessons with, which was wonderful. And she taught me about our voice has muscle memory. So when we sing a song, how do we remember that tune from 30, 40, whatever years ago? How do we remember tunes? Because it's muscle memory that puts us there. And when we start to get the muscle memory of success, because we have taken some steps, even though other people might be trying to protect us, thank you for that. I appreciate that comment that we got. But when we take steps in the direction of our dream, then we begin to flow and we start to take those flying leaps. In my Reawaken Your Roar closed Facebook group for women, Friday, my theme is Flying Leap Friday, because it's a day, any day can be a day to celebrate when we take those steps. And it doesn't have to be a huge step, but when we take that, I'm ready to do something. I'm going to move forward, even though I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to make it happen. And once we get the muscle memory to do that, we get the muscle memory to take flying leaps in the direction of our dream. Guess what? We get increased confidence and we take the flying leap, not only for one area, we go farther and we go farther and we go farther because we get good. We get strong. We get confident. It's amazing when we step into that realm and we start to follow a secure path of success, not chaos and all kinds of crazy stuff going on, but just a secure step. We're a path of success. We're taking the steps in the direction of our dream every day. And so it's your turn. Let's take just a minute here and talk about which one of these steps would make the biggest difference in your life. So the step of committing, possibility, feel free, let's take a minute and write some things in the chat. We're doing so well with that. And talking about, is it connecting, reconnecting with what it is that you really love, and perhaps even I highly recommend going back and reflecting and writing about what you loved as a little girl. Get a lot of success leaves clues for what you love to do, what you're good at. And then conceiving and asking questions. Which one of these steps is really resonating with you? Please feel free to write that in the chat and participate if you'd like. Or conceiving, coming up with different questions. What lights you up? What would you love? What gives you energy? What brings you life? And then a step of cutting away. Is that resonating with you? We've been talking about that quite a bit. A lot of people are chiming in and cutting away. Sometimes we don't even know that we can say no to people. Sometimes as women, we just we're pleasers and we just keep saying yes. Okay, whatever you want, whatever you want. And sometimes we don't even know that we can actually say no. And oh, no, I'm not able to do this. No, I don't have the time right now. I'll be glad to help you later. And speaking up for ourselves. So cutting away or constructing and getting some bigger ideas or cascading, just living in the flow is absolutely gorgeous. So if you feel like typing something into the chat, that would be absolutely awesome. And I'll give you a second here to take a look at that. Feel free to participate. Which one of these steps of commit, connect, conceive, cut away, construct, cascade, any of these resonating with you? Yeah, and thank you. Connecting with your dream, and it's connecting with what lights you up with that, and connecting with people that would like to share in my dream. And that's I got to tell you a real quick story. I was in an event. I've spent my life going to events all over the country. That's why I've learned so much. I met a woman who said that she wanted to, she was, I don't know if she was widowed or divorced, but she was looking to find another man in her life. And she said, I decided to draw a picture of him. So she sat down and drew a picture of the man that she wanted to attract into her life. Well, lo and behold, this man came into her life, and she said to me, she said, Mary, he even had the same nose that I had drawn in my picture. And I was like, you are kidding. So when we start to create space for what it is that we would love to invite in, then it starts to show up. Yeah, and there's yes, relationships. If we, and I've been there, needing to release relationships, and it's not easy, and there is absolutely lots of fear. So that is not an easy one. So blessings for you with that. But it's situations that a lot of people are presented with, and just believing in the power of your goodness and the power of possibility for your life is very, very important. So feel free to type into the chat whenever you want to add something to our discussion. So thank you so much for all the participation. This has really been a lot of fun for me so far. So here's what I know can happen for you is that you can absolutely go from showing up as what everyone else expects you to be, showing up differently, to absolutely living a life of being the authentic you, really showing up as who you are, becoming who you are, the authentic you. And if you look at that word authentic, the word author is in there. The root of that is author. You are the author of your life. And that authentic you is inside of you. Living in authenticity is another way of saying it. Living as the authentic you. And what I know about you is that you can move from cheering everyone else on and supporting everyone else on. And we love to do that. It's very satisfying. But you can actually show up as the star player in your A game. And it's you can learn to really to show up for yourself. And going from putting your dreams on hold and didn't realize that you couldn't even say no to people sometime. But in really learning to take charge of your life with your dreams in hand and just reaching up and grabbing that power pose of possibility and just moving forward with that. And going from just being out of touch and lost and just fuzzy about any kind of dream or vision for our lives to really being back in touch and on track with where we're going. And it's so exciting when all of that happens. So going really from drained and drowsy to absolutely being awake and alive and full of energy and full of power. And from that full filled up cup, we can give back and serve other people, which as women, we tend to like to do. So it's absolutely true. And I love going on sharing journeys with people of getting into self-discovery, to finding out all about themselves, and very often can lead to new lives, fulfilling lives. It's a new year. You can have a new life, whether it's a new job, new relationship, whatever it is that you're looking for. You can have it. It's out there for you. And to get those kind of results, it just takes three things. First of all, you have to know what to do, obviously. All right. And you have to know how to do it. So there's a skill set involved, right? Success is not a secret. Success is a skill set. And to get it done and to be able to get it done. And when I work on live trainings like this, and I do this all the time, and I love it, is I find that about 10% of the people on the call do nothing, and they take the information, and there's been a lot of great content today. And thanks for sharing with your feedback on your comments. I really appreciate that. About 30% are good old do-it-yourselfers, and I've been that many, many times in my life, till I learned to be part of the 60% who knows to get support. And I've been able to do that in my life. And here's my mission. Here's who I am. This is who Mary Nurburn is. My philosophy is that I believe it is time for you to reawaken your inner roar, that powerful, dynamic woman inside of you, and finally take charge of your life. And that is allowing whatever you are longing for to become your reality. And so what we long for can absolutely become our reality. It's amazing how that can happen. And I'm living proof of that. So my question to you, are you ready to reawaken your roar and live the life that you would love and be that, show up as that authentic you? And I invite you to ask yourself a question right now. Think of where you are in your life right now, today on Wednesday, and ask yourself, how long are you willing to stay there? How long are you willing to stay where you are? What I want to do, especially for you, is I want to offer you an opportunity to hop on the phone with me for a complimentary discovery session. What we can do is we'll get on the phone or Skype or Zoom. I like Zoom. It's like Skype, but I've talked to women from the States and Australia and New Zealand, and it works fantastically. And what I love to do is to get on the phone or Zoom with you so I can support you in discovering where you are and where you want to be. And if you're at that place where you feel that today you have caught the vision that yes, it would really be possible for you to live your dream and live the life you love, then I am inviting you right this very minute to draw a line in the sand and take a stand for your dream right now. And the next step is to take action. So let's get on the phone and we will take a look at where you are and where you want to be and how I might be able to support you. So take a minute and let's reflect. I invite you to imagine. All right, let's look at these questions and imagine. Think of this to yourself and ask yourself the question. If all I did was recognize the value in myself and know I'm worthy to live a life I love, would that hour be worth it? If all I did was reconnect with a dream that I'd been disconnected from for 30 years, let's say, would that be worth that hour on the phone? If all I did was imagine myself back in the dating scene or finally starting my own business, would that be worth an hour of my time? Or if all I did was feel that sense of energy and purpose from when I had a vision for my life, would that be worth an hour of my time? That's what I'm inviting you to do. So how long are you willing to stay where you're at right now? That's the question. And if you can't wait another second, you've donated so much time to everyone else and you are ready to live the life that you love. You are ready to sit down and really design your unshakable dream for 2017. That dream that will withstand the challenges that come your way because your dream is unshakable. If you are ready to have a conversation around that, to see what you can create, then I encourage you to take hold of the opportunity right in front of you right now and sign up for a free discovery session with me. Here's how it works. When you click on the link, marynurburn.com/discover, or I'm also going to give you another way to do this too, is you can also, on the side of your screen, I believe you should be able to see our special webinar, our live training special, where it says, I want to get my roar back. I want a discovery session. You can just go ahead and click on that right this very minute. You are actually being taken to my scheduling page it's called Calendly, and that's what it looks like on that picture next to me there, Calendly, and you can actually go into my schedule and you can select one of the 10 available slots. Then we'll get on the phone or we'll get on Zoom, which is like Skype, for an hour to get my eyes on your dream. And we will take a look at your life. It's all about you, and see how we can get you going so you can reawaken your roar and bring the life you've loved, the life you've been dreaming about, the life that you've been imagining, how you can bring that into your reality. And you know what? Life is a series of choices. And I've been on both sides of this. We can do nothing, which I've done in my life, which is, of course, 100% risk-free when we don't do a darn thing. And nothing changes. And I've been there, and it's painful. I've done it. I totally get it. Or we can actually choose to take a leap of faith, to throw our hat over the fence or throw our hat in the ring, however you want to say it, bet on ourselves, and you can sign up for a complimentary discovery session. Or only have 10 slots available. So I invite you right now. I've only carved out time for 10 slots. You can just click on that link. You can click on the gold link on the right. I want a discovery session. Pick a time that works for you. or you can type in www.marynurburn.com/discover, whichever one is easier for you. Just go ahead. Just go ahead and sign up for that. And you can just do that right this very minute. And I'm going to actually have a little clock starting here, so I can take just a minute to answer your questions that you might be having. So just go ahead and go in and select, pick a time there. I've got 10 slots available. We'll have an hour conversation all about you, where you're at right now, how you can change, and how we can help you design your unshakable dream for 2017, and just really take that opportunity to go for yourself. So you can either go to click on the right where it says, in the little gold box, it says, I want a discovery session so I can discover what it is about myself and how I can absolutely move forward. Or you can actually go to, just on the computer, if you need to, marynurburn.com/discover. Either of those ways will take you to my Calendly, which is a calendar scheduling program. And actually, you can just set up a call right then and there, and you can really go ahead and just pick out a time that's good for you. And we will just take this opportunity. Let me see if I have any questions. If you have a question, you can email me at mary@marynurburn.com, and I'll see if I can answer any other kinds of questions. Let's take a look. I want a discovery session. Signing up for that to be able to get your roar back. Is there a charge for that? No, it is absolutely free. So you can just go right ahead, and you don't even have to worry about a thing. There is no charge. We will go ahead. We will have a conversation either by phone, if you're, let's say, in the United States, or we can use Zoom. I love Zoom. I use it all the time. Or if you are out of the US, I've got folks from Canada, Australia, New Zealand, around the world. Go ahead and put the request in for a time. What I will do, I will reach out to you. I will give you a link for our call. If we're going to be working on Zoom, we can talk around the world. Get my eyes on your dream. It is so powerful, because what happens is somebody else, and I find this when I work with the coaches that I've worked with, that somebody else can see my blind spots that I can't necessarily see all the time. And to have somebody else's eyes on my dream helps me, or what I'm talking about, helps me get a totally different perspective to see what maybe I'm not recognizing, what I'm not aware of. And that's the beauty of the discovery call, where we have this conversation and we just see what it is that you would possibly love to have in your life. So you can just go ahead and click on that gold box. I want a discovery session. And if you have any questions, feel free. You can type them in the chat box. That's okay. And you can, let's see what else. See if I have any other questions. If you want to go ahead and send me an email if you have different questions, mary@marynurburn.com. That is absolutely fine. You can sign up right now if you want to just hop in and get an offer that I presented to you, that you can just click on, go ahead and get my discovery session, that you really want to get somebody else's eyes on your dream. And this is what I love doing, is really helping people design an unshakable dream and then get those results that you can. And just really, when Peggy, gosh, what a great story. She was taking care of everybody on this huge team of hers, 20 people reporting to her at work and taking care of her mom. And she said, I just can't go down the worry trail anymore. And what she ended up doing, she started to design a sabbatical for herself. And she was in the middle of designing that dream so she could travel around the country, see how, she was an executive, and see how other people in other places do the same work that she does. And then she became aware of a national mastermind group with 24 people from all around the country. And she goes, I'm going to apply. So she applied and she got it. I mean, amazing things happen when we take those first steps. And Tony Robbins always talks about is that when we are presented with an opportunity, is the most important thing is to figure out what's the next step, and figure out what the next step is, and then take the next step. Just be good to yourself and take the next step. And I have learned Well, I have learned really well to throw my hat in the ring and to really move forward to um, be able to take the time to, get focused on what it is that I want and take the steps that I can create different things. I personally have been working with a coach all year, and I have actually learned to, a lot of you found me through Facebook, and I have learned that entire process on how to do that through working with a particular coach. And that was something that was really important for me to do. And I accomplished that this year. And it's been an amazing addition to the work that I do with people literally around the world. So whatever it is you're dreaming about, go ahead, feel free to just pop it into the chat right there. I want a discovery session. Ask any questions that you would love to ask. I am here for you. I love getting questions. If you send me an email with a question, something that you're concerned about or whatever, I'll be glad to answer it for you. That's what I do. I love serving people, and that is my journey in the world. And so what we'll be doing, thanks for staying on to the end. I can see that there's still quite a few people left in my registration area. So thank you for being here this long. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to just sign up. And then what I will do is I will actually send you a brief questionnaire so I can get an idea of where you are. Kind of like evaluating or helping you to do some writing about where you are right now and what it is that you would love. What is that you were imagining for your life? And then we're going to talk about it. It's really, really powerful. And I've done it many times when I've worked with coaches who put their eyes on my dream and help me to move forward in the direction of what I'm looking forward to do. So go ahead and just, I want my discovery session. Feel free to just go in and hop in there. I will be sending you an email. So take a peek at that, and that will have a link to be able to, for you to be able to access my ebook that I talked about, Jack It Up, 50-something Women's Guide to Fixing a Flat Life and Start Living Again. And so open an email. If you see an email sent to you, go ahead and open it, and then you will see a link where you can click on to get the email for that. Okay, so anyhow, if you have any more questions, just pop them in the chat. I appreciate all the thank yous. Feel free to sign up for a discovery session, and I look forward to speaking with those who have already signed up. So thank you for doing that. And it's been a great time with you on this call. I so appreciate your input and your feedback and your comments and sharing your feelings. And the more we name it, the more we claim it. Our feelings, whether they're good, bad, whatever they are, the more we can name it and claim it, the better we get, that we can be able to move forward in the direction of what it is that we truly love. So I'm going to be wrapping up. Thank you for designing your unshakable dream for 2017. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free. You can go ahead for probably about 5 minutes after this call is over to go ahead and sign up for your complimentary 1-hour discovery session with me. You can go to marynurburn.com/discover, and you can sign up on my calendar right there. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate all who are here. And with that, I'm going to be ending the call, and you all have a great day. And thank you so much for being here, and you have a great day. Bye-bye. Thanks.